Hello and welcome! I'm back with another video where I present my mod. So this time we have my first trial truck, like 13th edition. I'm not sure how many times they rebuild this thing, and the dust only shows that I haven't used it since, I don't know. Anyhow, so the interesting thing about this truck is actually this kind of gave me a basic understanding of the automotive world, more exactly the off-roading part of it, because trail or trial, whatever trucks are used for off-roading, and these contests where they need to go on these really crazy obstacle courses. Now, I'd like to tell you somewhat about the history of this truck, because I have rebuilt so many times, and I have so many good memories with it that I'd like to share a few with you. If I remember correctly, I started building a experimental trial truck for a contest. I think the contest was in Hungary? I'm not sure. Anyhow, so I started building, but at the time I didn't really have a freaking idea where to start. So I bought a few pieces of bricklink, and also it was at the time, so remember this was around 2012. So yeah, I bought that Lego collection of somebody, so I had a few Technic pieces here and there, and I kind of started building a independent suspension contraption, basically, because it was 4x4 but it didn't have a frame on it. It only had like two bogies, and it was something like this wide in comparison with this. I mean, this isn't that small either, but not like this wide. So after that I went online, searched for, and I'm pretty sure somebody told me, somebody from Rolug told me that I should check out who the hell was Nico71? I'm not sure of the names, goddammit, and Serious builds. So there I found the solid axle build. God damn it, I was interrupted again. So where was I? Yeah, the solid axle build, because till then I kind of thought every off-roader, I mean, yeah, it has these independent suspensions, and okay, it's somewhat easy to make it out of Lego because you have the specialized parts, but it takes quite a lot of space because it's like 5 studs wide. Only the what are those double wishbone thingies, and you still need a frame in the middle that's 7 or 5 wide, and just like that you have 15 if not more studs plus the wheels. So let me show you the underside, because that's where I always start with a trial truck, the bogies, especially the first one. So I can develop this bogie with the idea was not to use the pre-made 5x7 or 5x9, the hell are those called, some frames, whatever. And if you can see, well, you can't really because this is black, and the contrast isn't really helping out here. So I can't really show you. Well, the basic idea would be that you have a reduction here, basic reduction in the wheels, and if I take off the wheel with a tire, it doesn't go to shit. Okay, so I was saying you have these U pieces with these straight lift arms that kinda are holding together this rotating or steering element. And I had to leave these, if you see, these are sliding on the axles, because otherwise I couldn't make a good enough steering system. Even like so, it's not the best. Unfortunately, I kinda suck at developing steering systems. And the other bad part about it, you have to have at least, I believe, 2 reductions, one at the top and one at the bottom, because otherwise the steering is too fast. Anyhow, moving along, I have the longer 7 whatever suspensions. At first I used the small ones, the small gray ones. I think I had white ones. Doesn't matter. So the soft or medium ones. And after that I thought it's going to be a better idea to use the larger ones, because they let you move the bogie a bit more. And they are, you can see it better on the rear, are connected to this lifted contraption here, and they have ability to move 2 points down here and 2 points up here. That is because, so when the axle is inclined, these aren't straight, this is like going a bit inward, and that's kind of straightening out. This is, well, mechanics and physics of Lego trial trucks. Anyhow, so I needed to add at least 4 points of movement or rotation to the springs. So I believe there is something similar in real life in cars, at least in McPherson type suspension, but that's a whole other topic. So after I managed to do the bogies, let me take these covers off. Oh, great. Now, if you look inside here, you can see a somewhat simplistic, more or less simplistic chassis. Who the hell I got the idea from? I'm pretty sure from Loco, because he also included the battery box in the frame. Anyhow, so other thing about the bogies and the chassis, if you can actually see, there is one linkage here, one, cause these are mirrored, on the other side, and normally the linkage to hold this, because usually there are 4 links like this, and one link like across. If you saw any offers, I'm pretty sure I saw it in a Jeep Grand Cherokee, whatever the hell are they called, like, and also the Mercedes Arox set from Lego, and that's kind of the standardized solution. But luckily for us, this thing is held in place, so it can move from left to right. At least it can't move too much, so it's holding, because without this, let me show you on the rear what it would happen. It would pretty much hold only the suspension, and those 2 linkages would hold the rear bogie, and it would let it move side to side. That's why you need this. Well, now that I told you kinda everything you need to know about these bogies, or what the hell ever they are called, and you know somewhat about the chassis, let me tell you about the motor I used for the steering and kind of the solution. Well, unfortunately I had to put this motor to the side because before I had it somewhere up here that wasn't quite aesthetically pleasing, and I had to use some universal joints, and here I would have another rubber band that's to make kind of like a dry clutch in case the steering rack hits a point and I don't burn the motor out or I don't break the universal joints. So like it's going up and then back down. This is needed at least in the middle, so it doesn't interfere with the suspension parts or anything when the bogie is moving on rough terrain. Now, unfortunately, this piece here is a bit longer than it should, and it's kind of forcing the whole bogie forward. And the linkage down here, because I have an XL motor for propulsion of this contraption, my wonderful truck, and I kinda built in a small gearbox that's 100% copy of somebody's creation, whatever they want to call it. I think there's a video how to make this. Unfortunately I didn't have much space, so it's manually fidgetable to change gears. So this would be like I think a slower but torquier gear, and this would be a faster but less powerful gear. And these things, you might be wondering, what the fuck are these white? I've never seen this piece before, because those are actually Lego parts, but they are from these back motors. Funny, yeah? I kind of disassembled 2 or 3 of them and used these because the axles can slide somewhat freely, and there are 2 studs, something like 2 studs distance in these, or no, 2 and 2, whatever, 4, or well, at least 3 studs, so it can move somewhat freely. This is used when the bogies are like going everywhere on a rough terrain. You see these things kind of expand just a little bit, and that motion can cause these joints. If you don't have a sliding piece here, it can cause it to fall apart. And if you look from the side, let me put it a bit further, the springs are somewhat straight, I mean upwards, and well, everyone tells them to be somewhat backward, but this doesn't really count. I actually saw a video from LP Power where he explained the advantages of caster angle, if I'm not mistaken. So this angle, and well, camber is a whole other thing, but that's pretty much used in real life vehicles for, well, that might be a video for another time. Anyhow, so moving on, the exterior details that I have. The cab, I'm not really good at building cabs, especially for Technic vehicles, and and from Technic parts, but I kind of managed to do this one. This was originally white, but after that I kind of changed it to black, and it has a steering wheel. That's pretty much it, because you have the suspension thingy and you don't really have much space to put in Technic figures. I'm pretty sure I had a Technic figure at one time. and of course you have a roll cage, semi-functional roll cage, and the construction is kind of like brick panels on Technic lift arms, so you kind of have a rigidity, and the top is these Technic panels. Oh my god, it's so dirty, so dusty. And I have these two panels to the side just to cover up a little bit of the interior. If they would fit in place, that would be quite nice, like so. And like so. Okay. And here at the rear I kinda added these two more or less for support and a little bit for the looks of it, because I don't know, I think it looks somewhat reasonable. Also here I have another like part of the cab's roll cage. Might be somewhat beneficial to have like two more struts or whatever to cover the rear, but it isn't quite that important. Also, I forgot to mention that I have the second version of the receiver that lets some more current to flow through to the motors, and by that you have more power. Unfortunately, I don't have batteries for this thing, and I don't know where the remote control is, so I can't really show it to you in action. I might have another video up with this thing in action. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It took me quite a long time to figure out how to build a trial truck, and I'm pretty sure I succeeded in a few trial truck contests that were organized by Malug and Rolug that I took part in. Unfortunately, I didn't really attend any of the latest events with this truck. Anyhow, I'm not going to bore you to death. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have anything to add. Have a nice day, and Free out.